Good day. I'm Matthew Lavery, Director of Research for the South Carolina Education Oversight Committee, or EOC. Over the next few years, there will be a few changes in how high schools in South Carolina can earn points and ratings in our state's educational accountability system. This video will give educators an overview of the On Track to Graduate metrics that EOC members have approved for use in the accountability system and explain a bit about how they will roll out over the next few years. To establish a bit of background for these metrics, I'd like to start by describing the federally required 4-year adjusted cohort graduation rate, which is also sometimes referred to as the on-time graduation rate. The Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, requires that states report the proportion of students who graduate with a regular high school diploma within 4 years of beginning high school. Note that this can't just be calculated as the proportion of students who graduate that are currently in their 4th year of high school. Calculating it that way would miss students who leave high school before their 4th year, either by dropping out or graduating early. We also can't just look at the proportion of students who graduate that earned their first high school credit 4 years ago, since many students in our state earn high school credits while still in middle school. Instead, each student is assigned to a graduation cohort during their first year in high school. In South Carolina, we refer to this as the student's 9th grade code, or 9GR. A student who attends high school for the first time this year during the 2022-23 school year will be assigned to the graduation cohort whose 9GR equals 23. But those students won't be counted in the graduation rate until the 2026 report cards are published, after having a full 4 school years to complete the graduation requirements. The 2023 report cards will report the graduation rate of the cohort of students who started high school during the 2019-2020 school year, or those for whom 9GR equals 20. In fact, most of the accountability indicators for high schools are based on the 4-year adjusted graduation cohort, which means that 4 years of work in our high schools is mainly reported and measured all at once at the end. Now, in many ways, it makes sense to measure a student's high school experience at the end, since each year in high school can look very different from one student to the next. One student's first year experience may not be directly comparable to another student's first year experiences. By the same token, however, it can also be helpful to have a metric that helps educators determine whether those two students, who had very different first-year experiences, still both made enough progress towards the graduation requirements to be on track for an on-time graduation. Research from the Consortium on Chicago School Research, or CCSR, at the University of Chicago, found that students who finished their first year of high school on track to graduate were almost 4 times more likely to graduate from high school than those who were not. Importantly, a student's on-track status was more predictive of high school graduation than prior test scores, race and ethnicity, or level of poverty. The CCSR study also found that educators were able to use the on-track indicator to detect possible challenges early on and to provide the individualized support that students needed to start high school on track. In our state, we're adapting this research to fit our context and to measure high school students' progress towards graduation each year with a series of metrics designed to help ensure that our students not only start high school on track, but remain on track to graduate throughout their high school career. Since students in South Carolina must complete 24 total high school credits to earn a regular high school diploma, 4 of which must be in English and 4 of which must be in mathematics, we have defined completing 1/4 of those requirements by the end of each year of high school as being on track. That is, students are expected to have earned 6 credits, with 1 in English and 1 in math, by the end of their first year in high school. They're expected to have earned 12 credits, with 2 in English and 2 in math, by the end of their second year in high school, and to have earned 18 credits, with 3 in English and 3 in math, by the end of their third year in high school, in order to be considered on track to graduate. Note that these metrics do not measure whether students completed those credits during each school year reported, but simply that they have completed the necessary credits by the end of that school year. For example, a student who completed some high school credits during middle school could theoretically complete fewer credits during their first year of high school than most students typically do, and still remain on track. You may recall from an earlier video that we prefer to roll out new metrics gradually whenever possible, so that a new metric is reported for a year before it's scored for accountability and used to produce school ratings. Because this new metric is essentially 3 new metrics, it'll be rolled out over the course of 4 annual school report cards. On the 2023 report cards, the first year on track to graduate metric will report the proportion of students in the 9GR equal 23 cohort, students who are currently enrolled in their first year of high school, who complete their first year of high school with at least 6 credits, at least one of which is an English credit, and at least one of which is a mathematics credit. Scores and ratings for high schools will still be calculated and awarded using the existing metrics. On the 2024 report cards, the first year on track to graduate metric will be both reported and scored for 9GR equals 24. The second year on track to graduate metric will report the proportion of students in cohort 23 who complete their second year of high school with at least 12 credits, 2 in English and 2 in math. The second year on track to graduate metric will be reported on the 2024 report cards, but it won't be scored or contribute to ratings yet that year. On the 25 report cards, the first year on track to graduate metric will be reported and scored for cohort 25. The second year on track to graduate metric will be reported and scored for cohort 24. And the third year on track to graduate metric will be reported but not scored for cohort 23. The third year on track to graduate metric will report the proportion of students in cohort 23 who complete their third year of high school with at least 18 credits, at least 3 of which are in English, and at least 3 of which are in math. On the 2026 report cards, all of these on track to graduate metrics will be fully implemented, both reported and scored. Again, as we progress through the implementation process, the scoring method and cut scores for ratings will be defined during the year that each metric is being reported but not scored. That way, high schools in our state will have an opportunity to see how the metric works and how it applies to them before being scored for the purposes of accountability. The intent of these metrics is to help educators and other stakeholders follow high school students' progress towards on-time graduation more closely, providing necessary supports along the way to promote student success. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us for clarification or with any questions that you might have. It remains our goal at the EOC to support your work to improve student outcomes. As always, thank you all for all that you do for South Carolina students.